Very emotional of yesterday's event and our past journey. So I would like to thank all of you to come here for this noble cause. And from the day we went for the transplant, and I had one image in my mind that I can create video like this and inspire as many as possible. So I keep telling him, study hard, play hard, be a healthy, good human being, so that everyone gets inspired that if Roman can change Chirag's life, why can't we change somebody's life? So it was very simple, and I'll always motivate Chirag to do something great so that it can become a great example that life can change like this from where we met.
Messages from here, which already has been covered by, and I'll represent DKMS BMST, what DKMS BMST is doing to support these thalassemia patients. So yeah, I don't have any PPT, so just I'm used to see this. It's called the Thalassemia Capital of World, and as Dr. Bhatt said, that over 10,000 to 20,000 patients are added to already thalassemia burden in India every year. And we know how much they suffer. We know that after too many blood transfusions, they suffer from organ failure. Various kind of organ failure, heart is affected, brain is affected, and bones are affected too much. And the problem is that not many of the patients already know that bone marrow is the only curative treatment of thalassemia. So they keep on having blood transfusion every month, sometimes twice a month, sometimes twice a month, and they lead into organ failure and succumb in early 20s to early 30s mostly. So Dr. Bhatt has said that bone marrow transplant is the only curative transplant for thalassemia. And how DKMS BMST is helping in supporting these patients are, there are 4 ways DKMS BMST is supporting thalassemia patients. First and foremost, like these kind of event, we are trying to motivate donors, we are trying to spread awareness about thalassemia treatments, the treatment called bone marrow transplant or stem cell transplants. So the people know about that there is a treatment option for thalassemia and other blood disorders also. And this is not the end of life when they're diagnosed with these dreaded diseases.
The second in medical language. And there's estimation again that almost 70,000 to 1 lakh people in India are diagnosed with leukemia or blood cancer every year. And if you look at it, that means every few minutes there's someone who's diagnosed with leukemia in the country. Now, how do we treat these leukemia patients? We treat them with chemotherapy. Some of them may require radiation also, but that is effective only a proportion of the patients. If you look at adults, almost 50 to 60% of the adults may just be treated with these 2 treatments. And in children, it's a little higher, maybe 70-80% may require only radiation and chemotherapy. But a good proportion of them will not be cured with either of these treatments. And that's the treatment for them would be a bone marrow transplant or stem cell transplantation, which gives them, of course, a second chance to life. Now, bone marrow transplant, as I said, is a way to treat these cancer patients. And what do we do in bone marrow transplant or a stem cell transplantation is that we destroy the bone marrow of the patient with chemotherapy or radiation and give them cells from a healthy donor. So we just destroy the whole bone marrow, which is the manufacturing site for all the blood components, and you've given them a new bone marrow from a healthy donor. Now, what are the differences between a bone marrow transplantation and a solid organ transplant? This is how the bone marrow transplant stem cells are collected. This is done on a machine called apheresis machine. So you should see that here the donor is donating. It's like a blood donation. So blood is coming out here, it circulates, stem cells are collecting, the blood goes back in. This is the one way of collecting stem cells. There's another way called as bone marrow harvest, which happens in the operation theaters. This is the more commonly done technique these days, and these cells are given to the patient for purpose of transplantation. Now, we discussed thalassemia and leukemia. These are the 2 common conditions, of course, where transplants are required, but that's not it. So there are many more conditions. There are hundreds of conditions. Some of them are malignant, that means they are cancerous conditions. Some of them are non-malignant, non-cancerous conditions. One we discussed was thalassemia. Thalassemia is not a cancer, but it is a very significant hematological problem. We have many other conditions like immunodeficiency disorders. Immunodeficiency disorders is children born with no immune system. And this is even more dangerous than thalassemia because children with no immune system die within the first year of life. And we again are the immunodeficiency capital of the world. There is an estimation in India about 1.5 lakh children are diagnosed, not diagnosed, they are born with immunodeficiencies every year, and they will also require bone marrow transplant for cure. And there are many other conditions where transplant can be done, and the list is shown here. I don't want to go through that list. Now, one of the differences between bone marrow transplant and solid organ transplant, like a liver, kidney, heart, is that in liver, kidney, heart, these are solid organs, you just need blood group compatibility. That means you've got same blood groups, anyone can donate for anyone. So I've got O positive blood group, anyone who's got O positive, I can donate my solid organ to them, and it doesn't matter. I can give a kidney, liver, heart, lungs, anything can be donated. But that doesn't apply for bone marrow transplants. You need a match, what's called as HLA typing. You need an HLA match with the patient and the donor. And the chances that you'll have HLA match in the family, your brother or sister will match you is only 25%, because follow the same rule as I showed in the diagram. So 25% of the times you'll have a donor within the family who's completely matching you. So what to do with the rest 70-75% of the patients? That's what we are here for. And we can use an unrelated donor, that means who's not related to this child, this family, who requires a transplantation. Now, this HLA typing is the crux of the whole thing. That it's like a fingerprint. We are born with fingerprints, we are born with HLA typing. And we get half from mother, half from father, hence the chance, as I said, is more in the family, is siblings matching, which is 25%. Now, there can be someone in the whole world who has got the same HLA typing. And that ranges from 1 in 20,000 to 1 in a million. That means you may test 20,000 people to 1 million, 10 lakh people, and maybe one of them may be matched with the person we are talking about. So hence, to find an unrelated donor is a huge task. And as common sense would say, how do you find, what would maximize the chances of finding a donor? Only way to increase the chance of finding a donor is to have more and more people on the registry who are willing to donate, right? So here comes the role of registries. Registries means these are the bodies all over the world who have registered people like you and me who are healthy people, and we have given our sample for HLA typing. It's stored in the database. And if a patient requires a transplantation, they do not have a fully matched on the family, we can send this HLA typing to one of these registries. They will have a look in the registry and see in the registry whether there is someone who's matching this patient or not. And DKMS is a German-based registry. They have more than 12 million donors worldwide, because it's a global registry. Although it starts from Germany, but they have got registries elsewhere as well. And in India also, there's a registry called DKMS. BMSC is the Indian component of the DKMS, hosting us today here. And there are 12 million donors in the world, all over the world for DKMS. Now in India, because they started quite recently in India, they have enrolled around 1,25,000, approximately 1,25,000 donors. And with that, it's a very small number actually. Have 1 lakh donors is actually a small number for the country of our size. I'll explain later on why. But even this small number, almost 100 plus transplants have already happened. That means more than 100 people out of this registry have donated and given chances to these patients at second chance to life, right? So the challenge is this now. Challenge is the chances of you finding a donor depends on ethnicity quite a bit. So the chances of Bengali matching a Bengali is higher, a South Indian matching a South Indian is higher, Kannadiga matching Kannadiga is higher, Malayali matching Malayali is higher, because we are a very diverse country with a very heterogeneous ethnic mix. So we need people in a registry. One, we need from all different ethnic backgrounds so that it can make an impact. And number two, which I already mentioned, that this pool has to be very large. This is my guess, I would say. It's not based on any mathematical models. But when we look for a Caucasian donor, a German, we have